Aging is inevitable, but doing it well is a choice. In this video, you'll discover 9 unpleasant things you're likely doing as you age, things no one tells you about, but that your children, grandchildren, or even close friends have probably already noticed. The last revelation will surprise you. But we're not just going to point out these mistakes. I'll also show you how to fix them so you can live with more energy, health, and purpose. After applying these tips, the people around you will want to spend more time with you because your life, attitude, and well-being will completely change. Are you ready to find out if you're doing any of these things? Let's get started. Number 1. Constant complaining. Imagine Ms. Isabel, that neighbor who always has something to complain about. The weather, prices, young people these days. Nothing escapes her criticism. At first, her friends listened patiently, but over time, they started avoiding her. The result? A vicious cycle of loneliness and even more complaints. But why do we complain so much as we age? Psychologist Carol Dweck has an interesting theory about it. She talks about 2 types of mindsets: the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. People with a fixed mindset, like our friend Isabel, tend to see problems as unchangeable. That's just how things are, period, they'd say. On the other hand, those with a growth mindset see every obstacle as an opportunity to learn and improve. And do you know what's the craziest part? Constant complaining not only affects our relationships, but also our brains. Recent studies have found that complaining alters the production of serotonin, the neurotransmitter responsible for our emotional well-being. It's as if every complaint is a hammer blow to our happiness. Here's the funny part, the great paradox of complaining. We complain to get attention, to have someone listen to us and comfort us. But what really happens? We end up driving everyone away. It's like shouting, "Hug me," while throwing porcupines at people. It doesn't work, right? But all is not lost, friends. There are practical solutions to transform those complaints into positive actions. What if, for every complaint we want to make, we think of a solution? Or better yet, let's practice gratitude. Instead of complaining about traffic, let's be grateful we have a car that gets us where we want to go. Another great technique is the 21-day no complaint challenge. Every time you complain, switch your bracelet to the other wrist. The goal is to go 21 consecutive days without switching it. Sounds easy, right? You'll be surprised how hard it can be at first, but with practice, you'll see how your perspective changes. We can also play the reframe game. Every time a negative situation arises, try to find the positive or funny side of it. Is it raining on your picnic day? Great, it's a chance for a fun dance in the rain. Remember, friends, complaining is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. Instead of complaining that the rose bush has thorns, let's be glad the thorn bush has roses. So the next time you feel that faucet of complaints starting to drip, ask yourself, do I want to be like Ms. Isabel, driving everyone away with my negativity? Or would I rather be that person who lights up a room with their positive attitude? The choice is yours. And speaking of choices, what happens when we not only complain but also don't let others speak? Well, that's another story we'll explore in a moment. But first, I want you to think, what was your most recent complaint? And how could you turn it into something positive? Remember, every complaint is an opportunity in disguise. It's up to you to uncover the disguise. Before continuing, if you find value in these videos, please subscribe and click the bell to stay updated. 2. Demanding respect just for your age. Have you ever tried to win a trophy just for participating in a race? Sounds ridiculous, right? Well, that's how absurd it is to demand respect solely for having more years on the clock. Now let's dive into the fascinating world of the empty crown, or how some older people believe they deserve reverence just for having accumulated more springs. Meet Ms. Laura, 75 years old, the undisputed queen of "I know more than you because I'm older." Her opinion is law at home, and woe to anyone who dares to question her. The problem is that her grandchildren have started avoiding sharing their achievements with her. Why? Because every time they do, Ms. Laura has a story about how she did it better back in her day. But what does science say about this? Psychologist Erik Erikson, in his theory of psychosocial development, talks about generativity versus stagnation in old age. In other words, you either contribute positively to younger generations or you get stuck in the past. Unfortunately, Ms. Laura seems to have chosen the path of stagnation. That said, not everything is black and white. In some cultures, respect for elders coexists harmoniously with valuing the younger generation. Imagine a society where the grandparents' experience blends with the grandchildren's innovation. Now that would be a recipe for success. But beware, here's the catch. Confusing experience with wisdom is like thinking that eating at many restaurants makes you a chef. Experience is valuable, yes, but only if you've learned from it. If not, it's like having a closed book on the shelf. Nice to look at, but useless. So how do we earn genuine respect at any age? Family psychologist Dora Maria Elena Rodriguez has the key. Open and honest conversations. Imagine that instead of saying, "Back in my day," Ms. Laura asked, "How do you do it?" Suddenly the monologue becomes a dialogue, and respect flows both ways. True wisdom isn't measured in years, but in how we choose to live those years. It's like wine. Some improve with time, while others simply sour. The difference lies in how we adapt and learn. Here's a practical tip. For every story from the past you want to share, ask 2 questions about the present. It's like a conversational ping-pong game. You share an anecdote, they respond with their experience, and so on. Before you know it, you'll be learning new things and earning the respect of younger generations without having to demand it. Remember, respect is like a boomerang. What you throw is what you get back. If you demand respect solely because of your age, you might find yourself alone on your imaginary throne. But if you show genuine interest and openness to new ideas, you'll be surprised how much respect you can earn, no matter how many candles are on your birthday cake. At the end of the day, age is just a number. What really matters is how you use that number to connect with others, learn new things, and why not laugh at yourself every once in a while? Because let's be honest, isn't it better to be the fun grandparent everyone wants to be around than the grumpy old person everyone avoids? 3. Rigid expectations. Have you ever tried to put on that shirt from high school that you keep at the back of your closet? It probably doesn't fit anymore, does it? That's how uncomfortable rigid expectations can feel, both for others and for ourselves. Imagine Mr. Felipe, a proud grandfather who expects all his grandchildren to follow in his footsteps and become engineers, just like he did. It's a noble and secure profession, he constantly repeats at family gatherings. But what Mr. Felipe doesn't realize is that his grandchildren have their own dreams and passions. Maria, the eldest, dreams of becoming an artist, while Juan wants to pursue a career in cooking. However, every time they try to share their aspirations with their grandfather, they hit a wall of rigid expectations. The conflict is clear. Mr. Felipe's grandchildren feel increasingly pressured, and, little by little, they start avoiding conversations about their future with him. Family dinners become tense, filled with awkward silences and evasive glances. Mr. Felipe can't understand why his grandchildren no longer share their plans with the same enthusiasm as before. This is where psychologist Abraham Maslow and his concept of self-actualization come into play. According to Maslow, every person has their own path to fulfillment and happiness. There is no single correct route for everyone. It's as if each of us has a unique internal map with different destinations and routes. Trying to impose our map on others is like trying to make someone wear our shirt, regardless of whether it fits them or not. And do you know what's most interesting? Studies have shown that flexible expectations significantly improve family relationships. A study published in the Journal of Family Psychology found that parents and grandparents who are open to the different life paths of their children and grandchildren report closer and more satisfying relationships. It's as if, by loosening that invisible straitjacket, we allow everyone to breathe easier and move more freely. But here's the catch. We often confuse our desires with what's best for others. We believe that based on our experience and love, we know exactly what our loved ones need. However, this attitude can lead to frustration and distance. It's like trying to dress an adult as if they were a small child, uncomfortable and impractical. So how can we support without imposing, guide without controlling? The key lies in open communication and empathy. Instead of saying, "You should be an engineer like me," we could ask, "What are you passionate about?" or "How can I support you in your dreams?" It's like offering a wardrobe full of different styles and sizes instead of insisting they wear our favorite shirt. Psychologist Carl Rogers emphasizes the importance of unconditional positive regard in relationships. This means valuing and respecting our loved ones as they are, not as we want them to be. Imagine that instead of trying to reshape someone to fit into our shirt of expectations, we adjust our expectations to fit the unique person in front of us. Practicing flexibility in our expectations doesn't mean abandoning our values or giving up on offering guidance. It's more about finding a balance between sharing our wisdom and respecting the autonomy of others. It's like being a gardener who provides fertile soil and water, but allows each plant to grow in its own unique way. 4. Neglecting your appearance. Imagine your body as a garden. If you stop watering it, pruning the weeds, and giving it sunlight, it will slowly wither and lose its vitality. The same thing happens to us. When we stop paying attention to our appearance, it's as if we let our personal garden get overrun with weeds. But why is taking care of our appearance so important? Psychologist Vivian Diller has something interesting to say about this. She highlights that our image has a direct impact on our self-esteem. It's not just about vanity, but about how we feel about ourselves and how we interact with others. Think of your body as a clock. Over time, if you don't maintain it, it will start losing precision. The same happens to us. If we don't take care of ourselves, there will come a point when we no longer recognize ourselves or feel good about who we are. And that, my friends, is like losing the compass to our own identity. Now, what happens when others see us? Whether we want to admit it or not, first impressions matter. When we neglect our appearance, others might think we don't care about how we look, or worse, that we don't care about our relationship with them. It's like sending a silent message to the world: I don't care enough to take care of myself. But hold on, we're not talking about becoming runway models. This goes much deeper. Self-care is a sign of self-esteem. What you show to the world is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. If you take care of yourself, it's because you value yourself. And that, dear friends, is something others notice and respect. Studies have shown that self-care and maintaining a good appearance in old age are linked to improved mood and mental health. Isn't that fascinating? It seems that when we take the time to care for ourselves, we improve not just externally, but internally as well. Now, before you start thinking this is all about superficiality, let me clarify something. Taking care of your appearance is not about being shallow. It's not about looking perfect, but about showing that you respect yourself and value your well-being. It's like a book with a worn-out cover. Even if it has great value inside, if its exterior is neglected, people might not stop to read it. The challenge lies in finding a balance between embracing aging and taking care of ourselves. It's not about denying the passage of time, but about honoring our existence at every stage of life. As a wise person once said, or maybe I just made this up, aging is inevitable, but neglecting yourself is optional. So how can we avoid falling into neglect? The key is in small daily actions. You don't need a radical transformation. Small self-care gestures can make a big difference. How about starting by choosing clothes that make you feel good, or maybe establishing a simple personal care routine? Remember, taking care of yourself is not an act of vanity. It's a way of honoring your existence and staying connected with yourself. It's like making a statement to the world that says, I'm here, I matter, and I deserve to take care of myself. So the next time you look in the mirror, ask yourself, am I taking care of my personal garden? Am I giving my internal clock the maintenance it needs? It's not about seeking perfection, but about showing the world the best version of yourself at every stage of life. Before moving on to the fifth unpleasant thing most older people do, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel with the bell icon so you don't miss future videos. And if you enjoy this type of content as much as I do, comment, I love wisdom, and let us know where you're watching from along with your age. Let's keep learning and improving our lives together. 5. Dominating the conversation. Have you ever been at a family gathering where someone just won't stop talking? Imagine a movie where only one character has all the dialogue. Boring, right? That's what it's like to dominate the conversation. It's as if someone grabbed the microphone at a karaoke party and refuses to give it back. Picture Mr. Roberto, the eternal storyteller at family dinners. Every meal becomes his personal stage. "Do you remember when I—" he begins, and everyone knows they're trapped in a 2-hour monologue. At first, the family listened with interest, but over time, the family gatherings began to dwindle. Mr. Roberto doesn't understand why no one wants to come to his fascinating soirees anymore. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you've even been a Mr. Roberto without realizing it. Don't worry, you're not alone. It's a common habit as we age, but that doesn't mean we can't change it. This is where our friend Socrates comes in. This Greek philosopher not only had an impressive beard, but also a revolutionary idea: the art of asking questions. His method was based on the idea that listening is just as important as speaking. Imagine a conversation as a tennis match. If only one person hits the ball, is it really a game? Recent studies back up Socrates' wisdom. It's been shown that active listening not only improves the quality of our interactions, but can also boost our memory and information retention. It's as if our brain were a muscle that gets stronger every time we truly pay attention. A study published in the Journal of Gerontology found that older adults who practice active listening report higher levels of satisfaction in their relationships. Isn't that fascinating? It seems that fewer words can lead to greater happiness. But here's the dilemma. How do we share our accumulated wisdom without drowning out the voices of others? It's like trying to serve a cake without eating the whole thing yourself. The key lies in balance. Fortunately, there are techniques to turn those endless monologues into enriching dialogues. First, practice the 2-for-1 rule. For every 2 minutes you talk, listen for 1. It's like a dance. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Another technique is the question game. After sharing a story, ask someone a related question. "And you, Maria, have you ever been in a similar situation?" Suddenly, your monologue becomes a group conversation. You can also practice the 30-second summary. Before diving into a story, ask yourself, "Can I summarize this in half a minute?" If you can't, it might be time to reconsider whether it's the right moment to share it. Remember, effective communication is an exchange, not a monologue. As Friedrich Nietzsche said, there are no facts, only interpretations. By listening to others, we not only enrich our perspective, but also strengthen our bonds. So next time you're at a family gathering, ask yourself, am I being a Mr. Roberto? If the answer is yes, don't worry. Take a deep breath, pause, and ask, what do you think? You might be surprised by what you can learn when you let others take the microphone. 6. Resistance to change. Have you ever tried to move an old tree? Imagine how difficult it would be to uproot that centuries-old oak in your neighborhood park. That's how complicated adapting to change can feel as we age. Meet Ms. Lucia, that adorable grandmother who absolutely refuses to use a mobile phone or learn any new technology. "Why would I need that," she says, "when I've lived my whole life without it?" But what Ms. Lucia doesn't realize is that little by little, she's isolating herself from the world and her own family. Her grandchildren don't call as often because it's hard to reach her, and she misses out on the photos and videos shared in family group chats. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you've had your own Ms. Lucia moments without even realizing it. Don't worry, you're not alone. It's a common challenge as we age, but that doesn't mean we can't do something about it. This is where the fascinating world of neuroscience comes into play. Neuroscientist David Eagleman has something surprising to tell us about this. According to him, our brain is an incredible organ that adapts, transforms, and remodels itself with every new experience. This ability, known as neuroplasticity, doesn't disappear with age. It's as if our brain were a tree that, though old, can still sprout new branches and leaves. And do you know what's most amazing? Studies have shown that learning new skills can delay cognitive decline. It's as if every time we learn something new, we're giving our brain a protein shake. A study published in the Journal of Gerontology found that older adults who engage in learning activities report better mental and physical health. Isn't that fascinating? But here's the real challenge. How do we balance the wisdom of experience with openness to the new? It's like trying to dance the tango while juggling. On one hand, we have years of experience teaching us what works and what doesn't. On the other, the world is changing at a dizzying pace, and we need to adapt to avoid being left behind. The good news is that there are strategies to stay flexible and curious at any age. How about starting with something as simple as trying a new recipe every week, or perhaps venturing to learn a new language with an app on your phone? Every small step into the unknown is like exercise for your brain. Successful programs such as art workshops and technology classes have proven effective in helping older adults adapt to new technologies and social changes. Imagine Miss Lucia in a digital art workshop, creating beautiful paintings on a tablet. Not only would she be learning a new skill, but she'd also be connecting with others and discovering a world of creative possibilities. The World Health Organization reminds us that active aging allows people to achieve their potential for physical, social, and mental well-being throughout their lives. It's not just about staying physically healthy, but continuing to grow and learn in all aspects of life. Psychologist Carol Dweck emphasizes the importance of developing a growth mindset, the idea that we can always learn and improve no matter our age. This mindset helps us see challenges as opportunities for growth instead of insurmountable obstacles. So the next time you find yourself resisting change, ask yourself, am I being a tree that won't bend? If the answer is yes, don't worry. Take a deep breath. Think about all the times you've learned something new in your life and take the first step toward adapting. You might be surprised by how much your life can change simply by being open to new experiences. 7. Making value judgments. Have you ever found yourself judging someone without knowing their full story? Imagine you're at a park and see an older person running in trendy sportswear. Your first thought might be, they're overdoing it. At their age, they should take it easy. But what if that person has just recovered from an illness and is celebrating their new lease on life? These are the kinds of snap judgments we unconsciously make as we age. The habit of making quick judgments becomes almost automatic over the years. We rely on our accumulated experiences and beliefs, thinking we have the wisdom to evaluate any situation in an instant. But is that really the case? These hasty judgments give us a false sense of control and security. We believe that by quickly categorizing people and situations, we're demonstrating our experience and knowledge. However, what we're actually doing is limiting our ability to understand the world around us in a deeper and more enriching way. Picture this. Your child comes home excited to share their new business idea. They want to start a delivery service using cutting-edge technology. Your immediate reaction might be, that's not a real job, they should find something more stable like what I did at their age. This quick judgment is based on the preconceived notion that a traditional, stable job is more valid than an independent venture. But what are the consequences of these snap judgments? First, we lock ourselves into rigid thought patterns that prevent us from seeing the positives in the new and unfamiliar. We miss the chance to learn about new ways of working, emerging technologies, and innovative business models. Moreover, we distance ourselves from people and their experiences, denying them the opportunity to fully express themselves and share their perspective. The impact on family relationships can be significant. Constantly judging the decisions or lifestyles of our loved ones creates generational and emotional gaps. Children or grandchildren may feel misunderstood and undervalued, leading to less open and honest communication. Constant judgment can cool relationships and make mutual understanding difficult, creating a tense and unwelcoming family environment. So, how can we open ourselves to new perspectives and stop being judges without robes? The first step is recognizing that our snap judgments are just that, quick and incomplete. Practicing curiosity and asking questions before jumping to conclusions can help us better understand situations and people. Philosopher Simone de Beauvoir noted that a lack of openness can lead to a life devoid of authenticity and connection. By staying open to new ideas and experiences, we not only enrich our own lives but also create a more welcoming environment for others. Nonviolent communication is a technique that can help us avoid judgments and foster more constructive dialogue. By focusing on the needs and feelings of each person, we can create an atmosphere of respect and mutual understanding. This is especially important in intergenerational relationships where differences in perspective can be significant. In conclusion, letting go of being judges without robes is a process that requires practice and patience. It involves recognizing our own biases, being willing to question our deeply held beliefs, and most importantly, maintaining an attitude of openness and curiosity toward others. By doing so, we not only improve our relationships, but also give ourselves the opportunity to keep learning and growing, no matter our age. Are you ready to hang up the robe and embrace curiosity? Now, let's move on to the final two unpleasant things we tend to do as we age. 8. Boasting about past achievements. Have you ever felt the need to bring up your past accomplishments in every conversation? Imagine being at a family gathering, surrounded by loved ones. Aunt Elena, as usual, dominates the conversation with her endless success stories. Every anecdote turns into a monologue that overshadows everyone else, leaving no room for others to share their own experiences. This "I did it first" attitude is more common than we think. The urge to showcase our successes can be overwhelming, especially when we feel our relevance is at stake. But what happens when this habit becomes constant? The consequences can be more serious than we imagine. When we monopolize conversations with our past achievements, we create a sense of superiority that can make others feel invisible. Their accomplishments, no matter how significant, are overshadowed by our flood of successes. It's as if we're carrying around a photo album of our best moments and showing it off at every opportunity without giving others a chance to share their own pictures. Picture this scene. Your daughter comes home excited to share the news of her promotion at work. Instead of receiving support and celebration, she's met with an endless list of your own past career achievements. "That's nothing," you say without realizing. "When I was your age, I was already managing the entire division." Can you feel how the joy fades from her face? This example brings us to an important reflection. Living in the present of others, admiring and celebrating their achievements, is just as valuable as remembering our own. True recognition doesn't come from only talking about what we've achieved, but from our ability to appreciate and value the successes of others. Humility plays a crucial role here. It allows us to understand that our achievements, as impressive as they may be, are just one part of a richer and more complex story. When we can value others' stories and be present in conversations without the constant need to take center stage, we open the door to deeper, more meaningful connections. Being generous by letting go of boasting means recognizing and valuing others' achievements without constantly comparing them to our own. It's like putting away our photo album for a moment and taking the time to appreciate and comment on others' photos. This attitude not only enriches our relationships, but also allows us to continue growing and learning from the experiences of those around us. The philosopher Seneca said, "Life is long if you know how to use it." This phrase invites us to reflect on how we're using our time and experiences. Are we anchored to the successes of the past, or are we open to new experiences and learning? Old age should not be seen as an ending, but as an opportunity to keep growing and connecting with others in meaningful ways. A study from the University of Michigan revealed that older adults who maintain their independence and set new goals report higher levels of life satisfaction and lower rates of depression. This shows us that looking to the future and setting new objectives can be more rewarding than constantly living in the past. The story of Ms. Rosa, a 70-year-old woman who rediscovered her passion for painting, illustrates how focusing on new projects can transform not only our mental health, but also our relationships. By sharing her newfound enthusiasm with her grandchildren, Ms. Rosa became a source of inspiration, creating an intergenerational bridge based on creativity and mutual learning. Remember, letting go of constantly boasting about our past achievements doesn't mean forgetting or diminishing them. It's about finding a balance between honoring our past and being open to the wonders of the present and the possibilities of the future. By doing so, we not only enrich our own lives, but also create spaces for others to shine and share their own success stories. 9. Being too self-sufficient. Have you ever felt like an island in the middle of the ocean? Well, today we'll dive into the fascinating world of extreme self-sufficiency, that unpleasant thing we do as we age that, without realizing it, slowly distances us from others as if we were castaways on a deserted beach. Imagine Mr. Ernesto, that neighbor who always says, "I can do it myself," while trying to carry 5 grocery bags at once. We've all seen him stumble, but no one dares to offer help because, well, we know how he'll react. "I don't need help," he'll shout as the oranges roll across the sidewalk. Does this sound familiar? Self-sufficiency is like that delicious dessert that in excess gives you indigestion. A little is fine, it makes you feel capable and independent, but when you go overboard, when you don't know when to stop, that's when things get ugly. And we're not just talking about carrying grocery bags, but something much deeper: human connection. Did you know that according to recent studies, loneliness can be as harmful to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day? Yes, you read that right. Your stubbornness to do everything yourself could be shortening your life just as much as that smoking uncle we all have in the family. Who would have thought, right? But don't worry, you're not alone in this, irony detected. Many of us fall into this trap as we get older. We cling to our independence as if it were a lifeline without realizing it might be the anchor pulling us down. Family psychologist Dora Maria Elena Rodriguez has something interesting to say about this. She points out that open and honest conversations are crucial to maintaining healthy relationships. But how are we supposed to have those conversations if we can't even let someone help us open a jar of jam? Here's where the wisdom of cultures that have found the perfect balance comes into play. In some societies, respect for the elderly coexists with the valuing of the young. It's like an intergenerational dance where everyone gets their moment to shine. Wouldn't it be wonderful to learn from that? But beware, this isn't about becoming completely dependent. No one wants to be that person who can't even decide what channel to watch without consulting the whole family. It's about finding a middle ground, that magical place where asking for help doesn't make you weak but stronger. So, how can we change this trend? Well, here are some tricks to start. 1. The Yes Challenge. For 1 week, say yes to every offer of help. Yes, even when your grandchild wants to teach you to use that device from hell called a smartphone. 2. The 3-attempt rule. If after 3 attempts you can't do something alone, it's time to ask for help. No, trying it 3 times in your head doesn't count. 3. The what-if game. Before rejecting help, ask yourself, what if I accept it? Spoiler: the world will not end. Remember, true wisdom isn't in knowing everything, but in knowing when you need others. As a wise person once said, or maybe I just made it up, self-sufficiency is great, but hugs are better. In conclusion, self-sufficiency is like chocolate, delicious in the right amount, but in excess it can leave you with emotional indigestion. The best thing is to find a balance, surround yourself with people who love and support you, and be willing to do the same for them. After all, isn't it more fun to share the journey of life than to go it alone? If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "Life is wonderful," so I'll know who the victorious ones are that made it to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate notifications for more content like this in the future. Share this video with those who may find it useful, and click the link in the pinned comment to get my new ebook, where you'll find all the wisdom and practical advice you need to transform your life. Now, I recommend watching one of these 2 videos to continue learning about Stoicism and human psychology. A big hug, and see you next time.